And yep, I found more sketchbooks. So this time we have this one. This one, the binding held up pretty well, but the cover, not so much. This has to be pretty old, since I still didn't do a lot of, this is probably, again, in 7th or 8th grade, somewhere in middle school. You'll see a lot of either reference to other manga art styles. Again, I did this in my sketchbook, so I wasn't planning on uploading any of it. A lot of Gentleman's Alliance stuff. I wasn't planning on uploading any of it. I wasn't planning on claiming any as my own because I knew that it wasn't mine. Technically my characters, but again, the style very similar, at least in my head, to a lot of what I was reading. I have a lot of those how to draw manga books. We practiced just in general, what did the style look like, how did the hair work, the clothes. I did upload this. I'm pretty sure in the description I did say, yes, this is not mine. I drew it, but I drew it from looking at another drawing. The Return to Labyrinth book cover. Again, I do it as practice to see, okay, how do they put this together? I really like how it's made, but how is it made? And I figure it out by doing this. I think it's good practice. Again, I wouldn't suggest, uploading it and claiming it as your own. But if you want to show it as practice, or just, sketch it and try it out, it's good to do. I did that a lot. I was reading Bleach, so this was for Hime. Anime Dolphins! And this was me goofing off again. Really bad anime drawing. Another anime drawing. I was using, not Copic markers, but some of those painter markers that you can get from Michaels for this. I might still have some, but I don't know where they are. They're not bad. You can only really see the streaks in, these two, and I think this was actually a different marker type. But the skin and the hair aren't too bad with bleeding. Anime. More anime stuff. Trying realism. I was super bad at it. Again, still figuring out everything. I couldn't at all draw anything well enough. But even though I knew, okay, I can't draw hands, I can't draw feet, I can't draw legs, I can't draw this, you just practice and practice, or you can copy someone else's art for practice, but not, using it for anything else. I'd probably throw it away immediately afterwards, so a lot of my fan art is actually up on DeviantArt, and I do comment about that. Yeah, these are the last few anime drawings in this sketchbook. I probably have time to do another one while I'm doing this video. I don't know how many I have, though. This is more recent. I'm thinking either last year of high school or last month of junior year. So, some of this may look familiar. I mean, I'm in college now, so a lot of this still is fairly old to me. This was a project. I was taking pre-college courses during the summer. We had to make a composition out of shapes. This is sideways actually, but I'm not gonna fold it over because I don't think you guys really care if we're a bunch of shapes together for my project. Another project, I was taking a comic book illustration course online, and we had to just basically draw an object using shapes. And I just put a bunch of shapes together, and I thought, oh, you know, this looks kind of like a high-tech sci-fi spy, I don't know, car. So I made it into a car. Perspective. I don't think the pre-college course did much to teach me perspective. I just kind of followed the, like, draw a point and then draw lines from the point. Everyone kind of knows the 1-point perspective, but I never really understood it fully. I never knew how to use it with anything. 2-point perspective. I didn't realize everything is tilted. I'm not tilting my camera. I just didn't realize that I wasn't holding the ruler straight up, so everything in this ended up like going crooked this way. In reality, now that I've taken a perspective course in college, I know that I would have to have another thing to make sure my ruler is straight, or if I want to go for a 3-point perspective, I can have another point that will help with keeping everything from, like, it'll keep it in perspective. Again, for the comic book illustration, we had to do, like, a character in proportion. We were given these models to copy in boxes. I had a tendency to make the legs really thick when I did the proportions. I'm not really sure why. When I did other things, I don't think I made them as thick, but whenever I did it in these boxes, it would just end up this way. So that was the final one I put in after years. It kind of looks messier than it was. More about the comic book illustration, how to do front profile, side profile, character. This was in high school. This was high school project. Sketching for that, testing out watercolor. I made a piece. I don't know if I have. Yeah, it was kind of similar to this, but with this hairstyle. So her side, you could only see the side of her face. I got a really bad grade on it because the composition was bad, because it was only the side of a face and just like a pattern in the background. And it was my first time really doing watercolor, but I thought I did pretty well. It wasn't muddy like this, it was more just like vibrant colors. But I had gotten like an F on it or something. This wasn't good. So my teacher had me do the more notes and stuff on artists. Funny enough, art was probably the hardest one to get A's in. I did end up getting A's by the end of everything. Every time it came down to the grade reports, I would have A or A minus in art. Everything else I would manage to get 100% in. But yeah, more notes on stuff. Art I just had problems with, even though I want to be an artist. Maybe that's why. More notes. It's on all kinds of different artists. Again, none of these pieces are mine. These are professional people and not me. And then more anime. Again, I made the legs a lot bigger. I guess it's just some things I just wouldn't even notice that I did that. More notes. Notes. Sketches for projects I did also ended up pretty bad. Just a warning out there, if you decide to do a project in charcoal, make sure the surface you're working on is big enough. Because I worked on too small of a surface, and I was doing like basically a full body portrait of a soldier, and I just couldn't get the details, small little things in the face like I could with a pencil. And it just ended really bad. More anime, Mugen High. I never ended up uploading this one. It just, it didn't seem important. And more of that. I was practicing proportions. I make heads ironically super small in anime characters. I think even in some of my previous ones, I made the heads gigantic. And then now, I guess it depends, maybe what I draw first. If I draw the body first, it usually ends up like super gigantic, and then I have the head later and it's super tiny. I don't know. Hopefully I'll solve that issue. More notes. We either do like an African sculpture painting, and I took a lot of notes on basically how the style of these sculptures were presented. I got a bad grade on this one too, though. I kind of ended up doing something along the lines of this. I have a photo of the finished project, but it's pretty blurry. It doesn't matter anyway. There's not any details to see in it. This was another project I was sketching for. Turned out a little better because I was doing it for my father's friend, Jerry. And it was a picture of him with his dog. The photo didn't have a very clear picture of his dog's face, so I was practicing drawing this specific type of dog. And getting some good views of the face. Again, if you've seen my DeviantArt, you know, Labyrinth Band comic, these are some characters from it. You'll see a lot of these types of things often if you see me sketching. More doodles. I think, funny enough, my doodles are probably better than what the final product ended up being. Like, if you ever saw my digital painting volcano, the picture in this camera isn't very good, but it didn't end up well. These are hard to see. It's a lot of scribbles with permanent marker. I like to do that. It's easier for me to see what I'm doing, but probably no one else. And then more sketches for our project was to do a comic strip. So I was looking at some of my favorite comic artists. These are like samples of their work for kind of inspiration. and I was practicing, you know, their style, like how does Simon's cat look, how is it drawn, just, you know, seeing how they draw expressions, how it's kind of different from anime. And then I started sketching out ideas of a style. I think I still ended up doing fairly anime style, though. The finished product, if you kind of see the similarity of what these images are, you probably know what project it ended up being. Yeah, more notes. Kind of hard to turn these pages. A lot of reference photos. Again, another project I did really poorly on. I think I did some extra credit or something to really get my grade up. This was I was part of this computer graphics class. I was making a logo for it. I'm not really a graphic design person though, so logos are probably my weakest point. I don't remember, I guess this is just more notes on projects. This was for Alter Ego project. You might remember, it's just basically a portrait of me, and then I look really gothic and stuff. It had to be like our complete opposite. So I am afraid of the dark and vampires and ghosts and zombies and all that stuff. So it's like, oh, I'll put those types of things in there. This was when I was bored. More notes. More notes. I was doing a fake kind of whatever posters these are called. Kind of promotion posters. This was for another project we had, which was transformation project. So I was practicing with like different objects turning into different objects, and I eventually decided on the Apple computer turning into the Apple, and I did it always. I also have a photo of that on my thing, and that's it in this sketchbook. So I will show you guys the next one in the next video. Have a good day.